My family abandoned me when I was homeless. 5 years later, they broke in demanding my house. I just smiled and called the police. How would you feel if the people supposed to love you unconditionally betrayed you twice? They're your own blood. You don't even have a family. We'll take this house. Their arrogance stabbed my heart. 5 years after ditching me with no place to go, they showed up at my door with suitcases. I didn't cry. I stayed calm, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911. Growing up in suburban Pennsylvania felt normal for most kids. From outside, my family seemed perfect. My dad, Thomas, managed a bank. He dressed sharp and clung to his briefcase like glue. My mom, Isabella, worked long nurse shifts, yet our house stayed spotless. My older brother, Luke, 3 years ahead, was the golden child. We looked like a classic American family. Our home was a basic 3-bedroom. But under that facade, things got tough. I noticed the favoritism early. My parents saw Luke as destined for greatness. They praised his mediocre efforts. Me? They demanded straight A's. They threw Luke a huge party and bought him a new car for State University, despite his partial scholarship. They drained savings for him. Me? From freshman year, they said I'd work part-time to fund college. 15, I juggled school and full-time shifts at the local diner, flipping burgers and pancakes, saving every penny. No one mentioned me aiming for a top university. With my strong grades and activities, the unspoken message was clear. Luke was the smart investment. I was just a spare part. Only Grandma Samantha, Mom's mom, truly believed in me and saw my real self. Her cozy cottage and garden felt like a fairy tale. An hour away, I'd spend 3 joyful summer weeks there while Luke went to paid sports camp. Those weeks saved me. Her calloused gardening hands guided mine into soil as we planted tomatoes, whispering, "Zoe!" Grandma Samantha always said, "Never let anyone define your worth. You decide that. And don't rely on others for a roof. Build your own." She had iron strength. After Grandpa died when Mom was 13, she sewed as a seamstress and got her 3 kids through college. Her independence lit my way when home felt like a trap. As college neared, parental pressure mounted. Mom pushed nursing on me. "It's stable, Zoe. You'll always have jobs." She ignored my zero interest in medicine. Dad backed her. "Creative jobs are for those with family wealth as backup." They missed how junior year sparked my passion for graphic design. My art teacher, Miss Winters, spotted my composition talent and introduced computer-aided design. I spent after-school time in local contests. I craved more. My parents dismissed my regional design win as a hobby, not a career. Senior year college applications piqued the stress. Our community college had a solid design program. I applied there and affordable state schools with arts tracks. But when acceptances came, parents refused to pay unless I switched to business or nursing. At dinner, Dad declared an arts degree a money waste. I sought Mom's support, but she stared at her plate. "Pay yourself if you want to ruin your future." Luke, home from college, smirked. "Listen to Dad, Zoe. Not everyone's made for real work." I cried myself to sleep. But morning brought quiet resolve. I'd attend community college, work full-time, and get my design degree no matter what. Over breakfast, I told Dad. He sighed, shrugged. "Your life, your error." After high school honors graduation, I moved into a tiny apartment with 2 roommates. Working 42 hours weekly at retail and coffee shops, I held a 3.9 GPA in design classes. Grandma Samantha's steady belief fueled me. I visited her often. Through 2 years, I transferred to a state university for my bachelor's. By then, I barely talked to my parents. Just yearly Christmas visits, where Dad quizzed my earning potential and Mom slipped me $20, whispering, "For food if needed." Luke had graduated, snagged a finance job like Dad's clone. Family events spotlighted his wins, underscoring my supposed flops. Mom beamed, Luke's promoted and eyeing a downtown condo. The unspoken comparisons hung heavy. I earned my bachelor's at 22 after 4 years away from home. Instead of my graduation, parents chose Luke's work conference. Only Grandma Samantha attended, now using a walker from arthritis, outshining distant relatives. Her beaming smile as I walked the stage meant everything. Degree done, I moved to Philadelphia for better job chances. I'd scored an internship that could go full-time in a buzzing design scene. Night before leaving, I dined with Grandma Samantha. Over porch pie, I admitted I'm scared. She held my hand, her 73-year-old blue eyes meeting mine. What if they're right and I fail? Zoe, true failure is chasing others' dreams. Follow your heart. I'll always be your soft landing. Her words echoed as I woke, jumped in my beat-up car, set to conquer and prove my family wrong on my terms. Philadelphia's first 2 years tested me, but I grew tons. Post-internship, I landed a junior designer spot at a small ad agency. Despite the low pay, I built my portfolio and made key connections. I shared a rundown 2-bedroom apartment with Jessica, a teacher I met online. We turned it cozy with thrift finds and DIY fixes, becoming quick friends along the way. I visited Grandma Samantha when possible and called her weekly. I still called my parents on birthdays and saw them at tense Thanksgivings, but that was our only contact. Of course, Luke scored another promotion and bought that city condo. Mom mentioned it every chat. Everything crashed 5 years ago. The recession hit our industry hard. In 2 months, my ad agency lost major clients. One Monday, we arrived to locked doors and a bankruptcy notice on the window. Jobless suddenly, I applied everywhere for design roles, freelanced, and reached old clients. But cuts hit everywhere, and freelancers like me went first. Rent and food drained my tiny savings fast. Jessica, not flush herself, covered utilities and shared lounge leftovers to help. After 3 months of slim pay and rising costs, I got an eviction notice. The landlord had enough of my 2 months partial rent. With Jessica moving in with her boyfriend next month, I couldn't cover full rent alone. Realizing homelessness loomed weeks away threw me into panic. I swallowed pride and called my parents with no other options left. After 4 rings, Mom answered. "Hello, Mom." "Zoe," I whispered, voice shaking. "I need help." She paused. I heard her tell Dad, "Thomas, it's Zoe." I explained politely, asking to borrow 1 month's rent till I landed steady work. I'd repay with interest, I promised. Silence stretched painfully after my plea. Finally, Dad's cold voice. "Zoe, this is what we warned about. Your unstable path led here, as predicted." "Dad, please," I mumbled, tears flowing. "Just a bit to stand again. Interviews are set, but I need a place." Mom cut in. "We've paid Luke's MBA tuition. No extra funds now." I knew it was a lie. They always funded Luke. They meant no funds for me. "You ignored our advice, made your bed," Dad added. "Maybe this teaches practical choices ahead." Call ended with no help, not even a short stay. I sobbed breathless on my bedroom floor, surrounded by half-packed boxes. That evening, I tried reaching Grandma Samantha, but no answer. Next day, her neighbor called. Grandma had pneumonia in hospital. I desperately wanted to visit, but had no way and nowhere for my stuff. 2 weeks later, eviction hit. Jessica helped pack my beat-up 13-year-old Honda Civic with essentials. Fit just my design gear, clothes, and key items. My last $120 rented a small storage unit. Out of choices, I drove to my parents' house. On a dreary October night, I parked in their driveway, seeing them watch TV inside, unaware. I sat in my car 25 minutes building courage, then walked up and rang the bell. Dad opened, shock turning to scorn at my messy look and desperate face. "Zoe, what are you doing here?" "Dad, I lost my apartment. Need a spot for weeks till work and savings for a new place, please." He scowled, eyeing me and my loaded car. This is what artistic jobs bring. Instability. Mom appeared behind. "Thomas, who?" Her face stiffened seeing me. Our daughter ended up on streets, he sneered. I'm not homeless, I said, voice breaking. Just need family now. Arms crossed, Dad stood firm. You picked your path, Zoe. Ignored us. Own your choices now, Mom added. Neighborhood meeting tomorrow. Like that explained it. Bad timing. I stood in pouring rain, jaw clenched. You showed you don't want our input, Dad said firmly. Can't reject advice, then expect help in hard times. He slammed the door. Rain drenched my jacket as I lingered on the porch minutes, then returned to my car. I waited in the driveway, watching shadows at curtains, hoping they'd rethink and offer a better room. No one did. I ended at a Walmart lot, sleeping in the driver's seat with $30 and nowhere else. I called and texted Luke for help, but no reply. For 2 weeks car living, I job and home hunted on library computers, showered at my gym. I kept calling parents, leaving desperate voicemails, but no callbacks. One night driving by, I saw Luke's car there. Whole family together, minus me. That broke me. No home, no support, utterly alone. Those meant to love me unconditionally ditched me at my lowest, all for daring my own path. On a cold November morning, I huddled in a coffee shop corner, nursing tea bought for their free Wi-Fi. I searched hours for cheap housing and design gigs. Weeks in my car wrecked my look. Clothes wrinkled from trash bags. Gym showers helped, but I still appeared ragged. I was glued to my laptop, oblivious to the world until a voice snapped me out of it. Zoe. Zoe Brooks. I looked up and saw Lily Harper, an old co-worker from the ad agency. She wore a sharp peacoat, coffee in hand, looking every bit the polished professional I hadn't become. I cringed at my messy appearance but managed a quick, Lily. Hi. I knew it was you, she said. I've been meaning to reach out. The agency's email system vanished after it shut down. Lily slid into the chair across from me, ignoring my disheveled state. How are you holding up? New job? I considered lying but was too exhausted to fake it. No, freelancing's been slow. Honestly, I'm a bit lost. Her casual tone shifted to concern. Lost, like moving between places? Tears stung my eyes as I nodded. It's been a tough few months. Zoe, are you living in your car? Lily leaned closer, her voice soft. I nodded again, tears falling. She pulled her chair near, resting a hand on my arm, breaking my fragile composure. Why didn't you reach out? She asked. After the agency closed, we all checked in on each other. I was ashamed, I admitted. Everyone else seemed to bounce back. Lily shook her head. It was hard for us all. When did you last eat a real meal? I was jobless for 6 weeks myself. I couldn't recall. Granola bars and cheap fast food had kept me going. Come on, Lily said, standing. Grab your stuff. You're coming with me. Before I could protest, she gathered my laptop and bag, led me to her car, and told me to leave mine in the coffee shop lot. Half an hour later, we were in her cozy apartment where she made me soup and sandwiches. After eating, she showed me to her guest room. It's simple, but it's got a Rayal bed. Stay as long as you need, she said, setting towels on the dresser. Her kindness overwhelmed me. Lily, I can't. We were just co-workers, I said, guilt creeping in. We were a team, she corrected. Now we're friends. She sat beside me. Friends help each other. Also, my boyfriend Michael owns a web design business. They need a graphic designer. The pay's modest, but it's steady, she added. I'll talk to him tonight, no promises. Rest now, she said. We'll figure it out. Next morning, Lily took me to meet Michael. His studio was small but growing. After reviewing my portfolio, he offered me an entry-level job, less than my old role but stable. I accepted instantly. That afternoon, while moving my few belongings from my car with Lily, my phone rang. An unfamiliar voice said, Zoe Brooks? This is Nancy Holden, your grandma's neighbor. Samantha's health has worsened. Doctors aren't hopeful. I'd missed Nancy's messages amid my chaos. My heart sank. I hadn't checked on Grandma enough. She's been asking for you, Nancy said. Come if you can. I told Lily, and she insisted on driving me 3 hours to Grandma's town. We'll go now, she said, rescheduling with Michael. The hospital, Grandma Samantha looked frail, hooked to monitors. But her face lit up when she saw me, her weak hand reaching out. We arrived after 9 p.m., my Zoe, she whispered. I knew you'd come. I stayed by her side, holding her hand, sharing my new job news, sparing her the darker details of my struggles. You blaze your own trail, she said, echoing her old advice. In the early hours, she asked for a box from her purse. Inside were a key and a document. The house is yours, she whispered. My will. Always meant for you. Listen, she said, her voice firm despite her weakness. You've got spirit. You'll recover and make a home. I tried to argue, but she shook her head. Your parents have Luke. You need roots. 2 days later, Grandma passed peacefully, her hand in mine. Grieving, I handled the practicalities. My parents arrived for the funeral, distant and uninvolved. Reading the will, I learned Grandma left me her cottage and savings with small keepsakes for Mom and Luke. Their attitudes shifted to resentment. Mother always favored you, Mom said bitterly, Dad's face darkening. I didn't respond. Instead, I grabbed the keys to Grandma's cottage and prepared to move in. Cottage, though well-loved, showed its 85 years in dated decor and appliances. Till it was mine, a home no one could take away. Lily helped me move in, bringing essentials and cleaning all weekend. It's got good bones, she said, scrubbing the kitchen. Great light for a home office. The overgrown garden felt alive with Grandma's voice. You build your own shelter, Zoe. For the first time in months, I felt safe enough to sleep soundly. With a remote job and a home, I began rebuilding. I turned the front room into an office, buying a desk and design gear. Michael was impressed, giving me more responsibilities and a raise as I proved myself. Cottage became my passion. I restored it slowly, honoring Grandma's spirit. Her garden, once her joy, became my weekend therapy. I knew next to nothing about plants at first, but I dove into books and videos to slowly bring the overgrown garden beds back to life. Moving from the city to a small town wasn't easy. I was shy, still stinging from my family's rejection, and hesitant to connect with anyone. But small towns have a way of pulling you in, whether you're ready or not. My neighbor, Mrs. Parker, who'd known me as Samantha's granddaughter, greeted me with a warm casserole. 6 months in, I started chatting with folks and waving as I headed to the post office or grocery store. Then there was Tom at the hardware store, saving old doorknobs he thought would suit my cottage's charm. James Carter, about my age, ran the local bookstore I visited for design ideas and their amazing coffee. You gonna buy that design book or just wear it out? He teased one day as I grabbed another coffee. I'm renovating on a budget, I grinned. Can't afford a consultant. Next day, I found the book wrapped in brown paper behind the counter. Your coffee skills upped our game, James said. We bonded over books, coffee, and later dinners. James was easy to talk to, no judgment, unlike my family. When I shared my whole story, why I ended up here, he listened without interrupting. Your parents sound like a piece of work, he said simply. Their loss. With experience and a growing client list, I took a risk and launched Elevation Designs, a studio focused on branding for local businesses. Working with Michael's company showed me small businesses needed visual identities but couldn't afford big agency fees. I got a website, business cards, and started pitching to local shops and restaurants. James was my first client, needing a new logo and signage for his bookstore. Word spread, and within a year I had enough clients to leave Michael's company. We still collaborated, sending clients each other's way. As my business grew, I upgraded the cottage, new roof, modern heating, and a revamped kitchen with new appliances, keeping Grandma Samantha's beloved cabinets. The upgrades boosted the property's value significantly. But more than that, I wanted a home that honored her while reflecting me. I tended the garden, added a patio for sunny workdays, and a fire pit for quiet evenings. James often came by, reading me novels he thought I'd love and listening to my plans for the cottage. 5 years after Grandma's passing, my life had transformed. Elevation Designs, run from my converted garage, now had 3 employees besides me. I'd settled into the community, joining the Small Business Association and helping plan the annual arts festival. James and I were growing closer, but we took it slow, valuing our independence. My circle of friends grew. Lily and Michael visited often, but I hadn't spoken to my parents or Luke since the funeral. Occasionally, I'd get their Christmas cards, just names, no personal note. Cottage, once Grandma's haven, was now my sanctuary and proof of my success. The girl who lived in her car now owned a debt-free home, ran a thriving business, and built a life full of connection. I didn't cut my family off completely, but sent impersonal cards back to shield myself from more hurt. My hard-earned peace was about to be tested by the very people who'd rejected me. I'd done what Grandma believed I could, built my own refuge in every sense. One Tuesday morning, an email from Luke popped up. 5 years of silence, and his name in my inbox made my coffee taste bitter. The subject read, "Touching base, dear Zoe." His message dripped with fake warmth. "It's been too long. Your design firm's website is impressive. I saw it recently. Your parents have worried about you over the years," he wrote. "Hope you're okay. Let's meet soon." I reread it, annoyed. No mention of their rejection when I was homeless, just a breezy hi like we'd simply drifted apart. I showed James the email before our lunch date. "Sounds like he wants something," he said, handing back my phone. "People don't reach out after 5 years just to chat," he added. I nodded, suspicious. The timing's odd. Why now? Should I reply? I mulled it over. Not yet. 3 days later, my parents' number flashed on my phone. I answered, curious about their sudden interest. "Zoe, darling," my mom's voice chirped, overly cheerful. "So good to hear you." "Mom," I said flatly. "This is unexpected." "We've been thinking of you," she said. "Luke reached out, but you didn't reply." "We were worried." "Been busy," I said. "My business keeps me tied up." "We saw your website. Impressive, dear. Your dad and I are so proud of what you've done." Her praise rang hollow after years of criticism. "We feel awful about past misunderstandings," she added quickly. "Misunderstandings?" I asked, voice shaking. "You mean rejecting me when I was homeless?" "We messed up, Zoe," Mom said, her voice softening after a pause. "We were struggling back then, but that's over now. Let's focus on fixing our family." Her words felt rehearsed, so I ended the call, agreeing to think about a visit without picking a date. That night, against my gut, I answered Luke's call. "Hey, sis," he started, his cheer forced. "Mom said you talked." "Great, we're reconnecting." "Luke, what's going on?" I cut in. "Why the sudden family reunion after 5 years?" "Why wouldn't I want to patch things up with my sister?" he said, his tone off. He admitted things were rough lately. Over the next 20 minutes, Luke spilled the family's troubles. Dad retired early from the bank after an investigation found issues in his management. He escaped charges but lost his reputation, most of his savings, and racked up debt. Mom's back problems stopped her from working full hospital shifts. Their condo was foreclosed, the house sold, and they'd moved to a cramped apartment. "That must be tough," I said, meaning it. "I'm sorry." "Family's there for each other in hard times, right?" Luke said, missing his own irony. "How about we visit next weekend? See your town, Grandma's place, reconnect." I reluctantly agreed to a Saturday lunch, stressing it wasn't an overnight stay. I told James about it. Luke says they're in financial trouble. After hanging up, James offered support. Need me there? I nodded, already dreading the visit. Saturday, Mom's teary eyes met me, her usual flair dimmed by their situation. Luke lingered, eyeing the cottage with obvious curiosity. You've transformed this place, Mom said. It's nicer than when Samantha lived here. Grandma kept it nice, I replied tightly, giving a quick tour. I just updated it, kept her style. Your design business must be thriving, Dad said, glancing at my new kitchen appliances. Expensive stuff. Elevation Designs is solid, James chimed in. Zoe's got clients in 3 states. Dad's eyes narrowed at James, surprised I had backup. You're James Carter? Dad asked. I own the bookstore, James said. Known Zoe since she moved here. At lunch, Mom mentioned their tight apartment 3 times, while Luke complained about job hunting despite his qualifications. They praised the cottage but kept hinting at their struggles. As they left, Luke took a suspiciously long bathroom break. He came back holding his phone, saying casually, This place has solid bones. Great reception. Smart investment. After they left, James helped clean. That was tense, he said, loading the dishwasher. Notice Luke snapping photos of every room? I nodded, uneasy. And Dad asking about property values, Mom saying there's too much space for one person. Be careful, Zoe, James warned. They're scheming. Mom asked for lunch recipes, Dad about the heating system, Luke about the original deed. Every question felt like a probe for weaknesses. 2 weeks later, during their second visit, the truth hit hard. In the yard, Dad got straight to it. Zoe, this house has 3 bedrooms and it's just you. We're struggling, he said. We should move in. A family home needs a family. I froze, staring. This is my home, I said. Grandma left it to me. She'd wanted to help us all, Mom said. Not leave us struggling while you have space. She left it to me because I'd care for it, I snapped. I was the only one who valued it. Family's family, Dad said dismissively. We need to stick together. Luke could take the garage room, he added. Your mom and I get the master. That's my office, I said, stunned. It's where I run my business. Move your computer to the dining room, Mom said, like it was simple. No, I said firmly. I'm sorry for your situation, but you're not moving in. Mom switched between passive-aggressive jabs and blaming Dad, while he pushed harder. After they left, I called the lawyer who handled Grandma's will. I explained everything and asked him to check my property documents. Luke had stayed quiet, tapping his phone through the whole argument. The lawyer confirmed the house was legally mine, with no claim from them. Still, on James's advice, I installed security cameras at the front and back. I knew this wasn't over. 3 weeks later, I went to Boston for a 3-day design conference to network and learn. On the second night, during a reception, Mrs. Parker texted me. Thought you were away until tomorrow, she wrote. Your house is lit up, people moving inside. Everything okay? My heart raced. I called her immediately. Mrs. Parker, I'm in Boston. No one should be in my house, I said, panic creeping in. Oh no, Mrs. Parker replied, her voice shaky. Should I call the police? Not yet, I said, trying to stay calm. I'll check my cameras first. I'll call you back. My hands trembled as I opened the security app on my phone. The footage showed 3 figures unloading boxes from Dad's car in my driveway. I watched, horrified, as Dad jimmied the back door lock, letting Mom and Luke inside. I called James immediately. He was closing the bookstore. They're breaking into my house, I said, voice quaking. Moving in while I'm gone. I'm heading over now, he said. Should I call the police? Not yet, I replied, still reeling. I'll try calling them first. I dialed Dad's phone, but he rejected the call. Same with Mom and Luke. Desperate, I called the cottage's landline. Luke answered after a few rings. Brooks' residence, he said like he belonged there. Luke, why are you in my house? I demanded. I told you no. Pause, then a sigh. Zoe, we were gonna call you tomorrow. We're just settling in. Settling in? I snapped. You broke into my home. That's illegal. It's a family house, he said coolly. No need for drama. You don't need all this space. I heard Dad in the background. Tell her we'll talk when she's back, he said, muffled. Get out now, I shouted. You've got 30 minutes or I'm calling the cops. Zoe, that's a bad move, Luke said, his tone hardening. We've got nowhere else to go. It'd be ugly to drag family into this, he added. Besides, Mom and Dad have a stronger claim to this house than you. I own it, I said. Grandma left it to me. A technicality, he scoffed. We've talked to a lawyer about challenging the will. She was old, not sharp when she made it, he said. We've got a strong case. I knew they had no legal ground, but a lawsuit scared me. I hung up, booked a flight home for the next morning, and skipped the conference's last day. James met me at the airport, his face grim. They're still there, he said. I drove by earlier. Your dad answered the door, told me it's a family matter and to butt out. Are the police coming? I asked as we drove to the cottage. I talked to your lawyer, James said. Left the call to you. He said their will challenge is nonsense, he added. Grandma had regular cognitive tests. She was fully competent. The cottage, I was stunned by what I saw. They'd made themselves at home, Dad's golf clubs by the door, Mom's bright cushions on the porch swing. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, bracing myself. The living room, my carefully curated space, was a mess. Boxes of their stuff piled high, old family photos I'd removed back on the mantel. Mom emerged from the kitchen, startled. Zoe, we expected you tomorrow. Clearly, I said. Where's Dad? I saw him in my bedroom. He's organizing his clothes, she said casually, fueling my anger. I checked my closet. Dad's suits hung there, my clothes shoved aside. Upstairs, in my office above the garage, Luke had moved my design equipment to fit his bed. Called them to the living room, James by my side for support. You need to leave, I said firmly. This works for everyone, Zoe, Dad said, his tone commanding. You've got this huge house all to yourself while we're struggling, he said. Your struggle doesn't give you my home, I shot back. You don't even have a real family, Mom said sharply. No husband, no kids, just you and your business. This house matters more to us, she added. That's not how ownership works, James cut in, meeting Dad's glare. This doesn't concern you, Dad snapped. It's a family matter. James is more family than you've been, I said. He didn't abandon me when I was homeless. Old news, Luke said, waving it off. We're here now, ready to be family again. This isn't about family, I said, voice rising. You want my house now that you're broke? We'll get this house one way or another, Dad said bluntly. We've talked to a lawyer, he continued. We've got proof Grandma wasn't sharp when she wrote the will. We're her direct descendants, he said. Our claim's solid. I knew he was bluffing, but I'd had enough. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. What are you doing? Mom demanded, eyes wide. Reporting trespassers in my home, I said calmly. We're not trespassers, we're family. She shouted. Family doesn't break in, I told the dispatcher, giving my address and explaining the situation. James stepped in as Dad reached for my phone. Don't make it worse, he warned. We stood in tense silence for 15 minutes until the police arrived. 2 officers knocked on my door. I explained the situation, showing them my ID, the cottage's deed, and its address. They broke in while I was away, I said. They damaged the back door lock to get inside. Despite Dad's attempts to call it a family dispute, the officers were firm. "Sir, if you're not a legal resident and the homeowner wants you out, you leave," the senior officer said. "Or you'll be arrested for trespassing," he added. "I can't believe this," Dad snapped. "She's my daughter." "That doesn't give you permission to enter her property," the officer replied. "You have 30 minutes to grab your essentials," they said. "We'll arrange for the rest later." Mom rushed to me, distraught. "How can you treat your parents like this? Like you treated your daughter when she was helpless?" I said, holding her gaze. The officers reviewed my security footage and advised a restraining order. The next day, my lawyer filed the paperwork. A week later, I had a temporary order barring my family from my home. As the police escorted them out, I felt a storm of emotions. I was furious at their entitlement, hurt by their betrayal, but mostly validated for standing my ground. I'd finally confronted their manipulation and abuse. That night, James and I sat on Grandma's porch swing, new locks securing the house. "You did the right thing," he said, his arm around me. "I know," I replied, staring at the starry sky. "But it shouldn't have come to this." The legal battle over their attempted takeover dragged on for months. The restraining order became permanent when Luke's texts revealed their plan to move in while I was gone, claiming emotional duress to evict me. My lawyer presented Grandma's medical records, proving her mental clarity and debunking their will challenge. Dad and Luke got probation and community service for minor charges, insisting they deserved a share of the family property. Mom showed signs of regret after the fallout. 3 weeks post-hearing, I received her handwritten letter. Her tone felt genuine, unlike their earlier entitlement. "I don't expect forgiveness," she wrote. "But I see now how we failed you then and always. We abandoned you when you needed us," she admitted. "I can't justify it." Her words stirred mixed feelings. I wanted to believe her, but feared more manipulation. After thinking it over, I wrote a brief, polite reply, acknowledging her apology but holding off on reconciliation. Trust was too broken to mend quickly. I started therapy with a family trauma specialist and joined a support group for those with toxic family ties. Hearing others' stories of betrayal showed me I wasn't alone and taught me the importance of boundaries. "Family isn't blood," my therapist said. "It's consistent love, respect, and support." That truth hit home when I thought of James, my rock, Lily, who saved me, and my community, who embraced me without judgment. James and I grew closer through the crisis, his support showing me what true partnership meant. On the break-in's 1-year anniversary, he proposed in Grandma's thriving garden, filled with perennials I'd planted for her. "You deserve a family that values you," he said, offering a simple, beautiful ring. 6 months later, we married in that garden, a small ceremony with Lily as my attendant and Michael on James's side. I didn't invite my parents or Luke, preserving the day's joy. I was surrounded by my chosen family who proved their love through actions, not blood. Now I'm turning my pain into purpose. Cottage, once a point of conflict, is now a sanctuary for others in need. In Grandma's memory, I started a foundation to help young adults rejected by family, offering housing and mentorship. "Everyone deserves a safe place," I told the local paper at the foundation's launch, and a chance to build their story. The first recipient was Sophia, a 22-year-old graphic design student disowned for choosing art over business. Her story echoed mine. I offered her the converted garage apartment and an internship at Elevation Designs. Watching her confidence grow reminded me of my own journey. 5 years after my family's betrayal, I looked back and realized I'd built something unbreakable. They had tried to shatter my world, but instead I rose stronger. My life wasn't just pieced back together. It was rebuilt from the ground up, brick by brick, with intention and heart. Honoring Grandma Samantha's unwavering faith in me became my guiding light. She always believed I could forge my own path, even when others doubted. So I poured that belief into everything. A cozy home that felt like a warm embrace, a thriving business that lit up my days, a loving marriage that grounded me, and a deeper purpose to lift up those who'd been knocked down like I had. Word about my parents and Luke trickled in through old mutual friends and distant relatives. I didn't seek it out, but it found me anyway. Dad, stubborn as ever, still painted me as the villain in his story. He'd grumble to anyone who'd listen that I was selfish, unforgiving, too caught up in my little successes to help family. Stung at first, but over time it just became background noise, a reminder of why I'd drawn those boundaries. Luke, my brother who once turned his back when I needed him most, packed up and moved to another state. His financial mess had caught up with him, debts piling like unread mail. He chased a fresh start, maybe a new job or a clean slate, but I wondered if he'd carry the same entitlement wherever he went. We hadn't spoken since the court battles, and honestly, I was okay with that silence. Mom's story hit differently. She divorced Dad not long after everything blew up. From what I heard, the family's collapse opened her eyes. She started volunteering at a local shelter, helping others in tough spots. It seemed like she'd learned something real from our mess, maybe regret, maybe growth. I caught myself hoping it was genuine, but I kept my distance, letting time reveal the truth. Reconciliation lingered in the air like a half-open door. It might happen one day, but only on my terms. Terms that honored my worth, my peace. No more bending to their convenience or whims. I'd learned the hard way that relationships thrive on genuine care, not obligation or desperation. Until they showed that, I'd keep the door cracked, not flung wide. In the meantime, I poured my energy into the bonds that had proven themselves unbreakable. James, with his quiet strength and endless support. Lily and Michael, who'd become like siblings through shared laughs and late-night talks. My community of friends and neighbors who showed up without being asked. These were the people who filled my life with light, not shadows. On those quiet evenings, James and I would sit in Grandma Samantha's garden. The sun dipping low, painting the sky in soft pinks and oranges. The air smelled of blooming roses and fresh earth, a scent that always brought her memory rushing back. We'd sip tea, hands intertwined, and I'd reflect on my journey, the twists, the falls, the triumphs. I started from rock bottom, homeless, huddled in my car, wondering if I'd ever feel safe again. Abandoned by the family who should have caught me. But look at me now, a homeowner with roots deep in this soil, a pillar in my small town community, organizing events and lending a hand where I could. Through it all, I learned a vital truth. Family isn't something you inherit like an old quilt. It's earned day by day through love, respect, and showing up when it counts. I came to realize it's far better to stand alone than to cling to people who constantly tear you down. Their words like thorns, their actions like weights. Letting go wasn't easy, but it freed me to breathe, to grow without apology. Building a family on my own terms turned out to be the greatest gift. Rooted in values like kindness, honesty, and mutual uplift. It wasn't just possible, it was transformative, far more fulfilling than the toxic blood ties that had once held me back. No more walking on eggshells or dimming my light to fit their expectations. Grandma's cottage evolved into so much more than four walls and a roof. It stood as tangible proof that I could carve out my own space in this vast world. A place where my dreams weren't dismissed, where my boundaries were sacred lines no one could cross without permission. By standing firm against those who tried to strip it away, my family's bold intrusion, their legal threats, I protected not just the property but my very worth. It was a battle that tested my resolve, but winning it affirmed that I mattered, that my voice carried weight. Have you ever had to draw that line with family who betrayed your trust? It's a gut-wrenching choice, isn't it? Has your blood family always had your back through thick and thin? Or have you, like me, had to seek out and build a chosen family, one that feels like home because it's built on choice, not chance? If you've walked this path, you know the relief of surrounding yourself with people who celebrate you. Thanks for listening to my story. It's raw but real. Take careful out there, guard your heart. Wishing you the best in finding your own strength and peace. 6 months after James's proposal, we tied the knot in a small, intimate ceremony right there in the garden. The flowers were in full bloom, their petals dancing in the gentle breeze. Lily stood by my side as my attendant, her smile radiant as she adjusted my veil. Michael was on James's side, cracking jokes to keep the nerves at bay. We didn't invite my parents or Luke, a decision that preserved the pure joy of the day, free from old tensions. Instead, I was enveloped by my chosen family. Friends from town, colleagues from Elevation Designs, even some neighbors who'd become like extended kin. These were people who'd shown their love through actions. Late night pep talks, helping hands during moves, quiet support in tough times. Not bound by blood, but by something deeper, loyalty forged in shared moments. Now, with life settling into a beautiful rhythm, I'm channeling my painful past into positive change. It's like turning scars into stars, finding light in the darkness that once consumed me. Cottage, which had sparked so much conflict with its inheritance and the attempted takeover, now serves as a true haven. Not just for me, but for others walking paths similar to mine. Its walls hold stories of resilience, whispers of hope. To honor Grandma Samantha's memory, I founded a modest organization called Samantha's Sanctuary. Focuses on young adults rejected by their families, providing temporary housing and professional mentorship. We started small, with grants from local businesses and donations from my network. But it grew, touching lives one at a time. The foundation's launch, I stood before a small crowd of reporters and supporters. Everyone deserves a safe place to land, I told the local news, my voice steady but passionate. And a real shot at building their own success story, free from judgment or abandonment. The first recipient was Sophia, a bright 22-year-old graphic design student. Her parents had disowned her when she switched her major from business to art, calling it a waste of potential. She'd bounced between friends' couches and shelters, her dreams flickering but not extinguished. Her story hit close to home, mirroring my own struggles with family expectations and rejection. I offered her the garage apartment, which I'd converted into a cozy, self-contained living space with a small kitchenette and workspace. Plus, an internship at Elevation Designs where she could hone her skills under my guidance. Watching Sophia's confidence bloom was like reliving my own transformation. First, she was hesitant, second-guessing her ideas in meetings. But as weeks turned to months, she flourished, pitching bold concepts, landing her first client project. It felt magical, seeing echoes of my journey in her steps, knowing I'd helped light her way. 5 years after my family's betrayal, I'd constructed something far stronger than the fragile ties they'd shattered. It wasn't about revenge or proving them wrong. It was about rising above, creating abundance from ashes. In Grandma Samantha's memory, I built a home filled with warmth and security. A business, Elevation Designs, that now employed a team of creative minds, expanding beyond local clients to regional ones. A marriage with James where every day felt like a partnership of equals, full of laughter and shared dreams. And a purpose that extended my reach, uplifting others through the foundation. Dates on my parents and Luke continued to filter in via shared contacts, old family friends, cousins at gatherings. I listened without seeking, letting the information land lightly. Dad remained bitter, always shifting blame my way. He'd tell stories of my selfishness, how I'd turn my back on family in their hour of need. Unforgiving, he called me, as if forgiveness meant erasing boundaries. It hurt less now, more a echo than a fresh wound. Luke, ever the opportunist, relocated to another state for a clean slate. His financial ruin had humbled him, or so rumors said. He took a job in sales, trying to rebuild. I wondered if he reflected on our shared past, but I didn't dwell. His path was his own. Mom's evolution stood out. Divorced from Dad, she seemed to glean real lessons from our family's implosion. She moved into a small apartment, started therapy, even reached out to volunteer groups. It hinted at growth, a shedding of old patterns. I held space for possibility, but guarded my heart. Reconciliation hovered as a maybe, not a must. Could happen, but only if it truly respected my worth. No half measures, no strings attached. I'd learned relationships demand genuine care, not fleeting convenience when times get tough. Until that day came, if it ever did, I focused fiercely on the bonds that had already proven their mettle. James, with his daily acts of kindness. Lily, who visited often with stories and support. My team at work, who felt like collaborators in a grand adventure. These connections nourished me, no toxicity in sight. On those serene evenings, James and I claimed our spot in Grandma Samantha's garden. The rustle of leaves, the distant hum of crickets, the scent of lavender wafting through. We'd talk or sit in comfortable silence, my head on his shoulder. Reflecting on my path filled me with gratitude. From the despair of homelessness, clutching my steering wheel as a pillow, to the pride of homeownership, keys in hand. From an abandoned daughter, left to fend alone, to a community pillar, organizing fundraisers and mentoring locals. Through every trial, I internalized a core lesson. Family is earned, not bestowed at birth. It's cultivated through consistent love, mutual respect, and unwavering support. Blood might tie you, but it doesn't define you. I came to a profound realization. It's infinitely better to embrace solitude than endure a family that drags you into the depths. Their negativity like quicksand pulling you under. Choosing peace over poison was my liberation. Crafting a family on my own terms proved revolutionary. Rooted in shared values, empathy, growth, authenticity, it wasn't merely feasible, it was deeply fulfilling. Far richer than the hollow, toxic blood ties that once confined me. Grandma's cottage transcended its physical form for me. Symbolized resilience, a beacon proving I could etch my mark on the world. My aspirations weren't frivolous, my boundaries weren't negotiable. By defending it fiercely against those who aimed to seize it, my family's audacious moves, their veiled threats, I safeguarded my intrinsic worth. It was a stand that echoed through my soul, affirming I deserved respect, autonomy, and joy. As I wrap this chapter, I turn the reflection to you. Have you ever drawn that firm line with family who shattered your trust? Stood tall amid the fallout? Has your blood family been your steadfast ally, or have cracks appeared? If not, perhaps you've woven a chosen family from threads of true connection. People who choose you daily, flaws and all. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Thanks for journeying through my story. May it spark something in yours. Stay vigilant, protect your peace. Wishing you strength, love, and the family you truly deserve. But wait, let me back up a bit and fill in more of how this all unfolded. After the dust settled from the legal battles, life didn't just snap back to normal. It evolved layer by layer into something richer. James and I took our time planning the wedding. We wanted it simple, meaningful, no grand halls or crowds. The garden felt perfect, alive with Grandma's spirit. We strung fairy lights through the trees, set up wooden chairs for our closest friends. Lily helped pick wildflowers for bouquets, her excitement contagious. On the day, the sun shone gently, birds chirping like they approved. I walked down a petal-strewn path in a flowing white dress, James waiting with that smile that still made my heart skip. Vows exchanged under the arbor I'd built myself. Promises of partnership, adventure, unwavering support. Not having my biological family there lifted a weight. No awkward tensions, no forced smiles. Instead, laughter echoed as Michael toasted us, recounting how James and I bonded over coffee and books. Lily shared stories of our early friendship, tears in her eyes. It was pure, unfiltered joy. Post-wedding, we honeymooned nearby, a cozy cabin in the woods. Hikes by day, fireside talks by night. Cemented our bond, reminding me how far I'd come from isolation to this deep connection. Back home, inspiration struck to transform my pain. Cottage's history of sheltering me fueled the idea for Samantha's sanctuary. I researched similar programs, networked with nonprofits. Securing funding took months, grant applications, community fundraisers, but persistence paid off. The launch event was humble, a garden gathering with local leaders, media, and potential beneficiaries. My quote to the news captured the essence. Everyone deserves a safe place to land and a shot at their own success. It went viral locally, drawing donations and volunteers. Sophia's arrival marked the foundation's first win. She showed up nervous, portfolio in hand. Over coffee, she shared her disownment story, parents demanding a practical career, cutting ties when she chose passion. I saw my younger self in her eyes. Settling her into the garage apartment felt right. I'd renovated it thoughtfully. Bright walls, a drafting table, high-speed internet. The internship started slow, shadowing me on projects, but she quickly shone. Her first design pitch? A logo for a local cafe. Nailed it. Mentoring her became therapeutic. We'd brainstorm late, laughing over sketches. Her growth, from timid to bold, mirrored mine, healing old wounds. Today, she's a full-time designer, paying it forward by mentoring others. These expansions rippled outward. Elevation designs grew too, new offices, more staff. We specialized in branding for underdogs, small businesses chasing dreams. Clients raved, referrals poured in. Personal growth paralleled it. Therapy sessions unpacked layers of trauma, teaching me forgiveness on my timeline. The support group connected me with souls who understood, stories of betrayal turning to triumph. James and I dreamed bigger, maybe kids one day, expanding the foundation nationally. Quiet evenings in the garden fueled these visions. Grandma's presence felt in every bloom. Hearing about my family became sporadic. Dad's blame game persisted, but I pitted it now. Luke's restart? Hopeful but distant. Mom's changes intrigued me most. Her divorce, new life. A tentative coffee meet years later? Possible if respect led the way. Reconciliation's door stayed ajar, hinged on genuine effort. No rush, my life brimmed full without it. Relationships, I affirmed, demand care over convenience. I invested in mine daily, calls to Lily, community events, date nights with James. Reflecting in the garden, path lit by moonlight, gratitude swelled. From homeless nights to this haven. Abandoned to adored. Family earned, not given. Better alone than diminished. My chosen circle? Infinitely rewarding. The cottage? My manifesto of worth, dreams defended, boundaries honored. Your turn. Boundaries with betrayers? Blood families support? Chosen kin built? Thanks for sharing my tale.